put capital and to put resources, you know. And so I guess that's our job, you know, to come up with avenues. First is to really have an honest conversation, because this is not a moral issue or trying to judge people. We're saying, listen, let's not distract ourselves with things that we're not in love with, right? Let's try to come up with a conversation on what is it that society truly wants, what is it that you want for your society, and let's measure it, let's define it and measure it, and then let's put capital and let's put human resources into it.
Okay, now you describe yourself as a facilitator. You're from Lima, Peru originally, and you'd like to do some work there, and there's something that you feel very passionate about, and that's that there should be plumbing for the residents. You say about half of the people don't have proper plumbing in their homes or have a home to live in.
Yes, the first experiment, or I won't call it experiment, the first example that we're applying to is the subject of access to water and sewage. Peru is an amazing country. It's a fascinating country.
Beautiful.
And I'm 38 years old, and I was born and raised in Peru, mostly, because I traveled overseas. And Peru has never been in a better financial position. That means that it has money in the wallet and the ability to basically borrow. Okay? So Peru has never been in that shape before. And also the world is going through a very interesting change, which is, you know, this boom in technology and information technology, and basically opening the doors and possibilities for a lot of people, including, you know, all the people in Peru. Yet for some reason, half of the population is still doesn't have the very basic services of water and sewage. So I am trying to apply the concept of how do we help this happen. And there are lots of things happening, but I think we need to put in more capital and more entrepreneurship into this goal. And this is one of 20 goals that I want to set for the next 2 years.
And you believe that the people have that will and that desire. They're in love with having proper flowing water and toiletry.
I think people are in love with making Peru, to really see Peru take off.
Okay. Now you have Peru de Primero.
Peru Primera, yes.
Tell us about that.
That's a website or a web platform that I created to actually inject that conversation. It's like, what are you in love with in Peru? It's like, how would you describe a first-class Peru?
So you're really an entrepreneur. You're reaching out to that population. You want to get them to be in love with your idea and what you're trying to do.
I'm reaching out to in Peru in this specific project, reaching out to the population in Peru, asking them, how would you describe what a better or the best Peru in the world would be for you? And use this as a platform of conversation. And it's just a conversation, because we're making it national. And first through the internet, and then through radio, and hopefully through TV, and just like pushing this topic.
So you want your pilot program to be in Peru, which is your native country, and then you want to learn the ropes there and be able to export, if you will, this type of thinking and ultimately system of what exactly? Of investment?
Correct. So what we're doing is we're proving the concept that it can be done. The only reason I'm not doing it in 20 countries right now is because I don't have the resources to launch it in 20 countries at the same time. But I've done the work that there's a huge unmet need for people to do something, yet they're not doing something because they don't have the avenues. And so we're trying to create those financial avenues.
That's fabulous.
And the reason we decided to do Peru is because I mean there's 20 reasons why we decided to launch it in Peru, aside from the fact that there is a huge opportunity right now to implement it. But as soon as we launch the first project and we prove the concept and the transaction, then we're going to replicate it, and we're actually going to do it in the United States too.
So this is a very simple idea, but a very powerful idea. You want to go to the people and find out what their will is, what their interest is, what they're in love with, and then put it in, use your banking and business knowledge, expertise, to make it happen.
Correct. We're sort of creating this concept that listen, I mean, you can go to a shop and buy yourself a nice chocolate. You can go to a movie that you really want. You can buy a TV,
Sure.
$1,000 TV. Some people buy.
Right. Right.
You buy things that you like.
Yes.
So the question is, I came up with this thought of saying, how can you buy a better world? You're saying like buy yourself a better world, okay? But change it from thinking that this is charity, or I mean, actually, there's nothing wrong with charity. I love charity. It's fantastic. There's a lot of space for generosity in this world, right?
Right.
But I'm saying there should also be the avenue for you to say, listen, if I could buy a better world defined as, less poverty, less child mortality, or whatever it is that I really want, that I can express in terms of social goals that are non-political and non-controversial, where can I buy that, right? There's still the avenue of charity, which is fine. But I'm saying, quite frankly, even though charity, it's quite big in the States, for example, right? Charitable contributions can range anywhere from, depending on which figures you use, $200 to $300 billion a year in the U.S. Sure. But believe it or not, I think there would be a lot more if you increase the pie and say like it's not charity. It's like I want to buy myself a better world, right?
Right. Well, in Judaism, the highest level of charity is employment, giving somebody a job.
Correct.
Because there's no embarrassment about that.
Correct. So its measurement becomes very strange because I think a lot of companies, a lot of corporations, are buying themselves a better world through different avenues. So what I'm doing, I guess, is trying to create an extra avenue. It's very ambitious because I believe that there's a lot of people that would love to buy, and I use the term buy in terms of like putting the money if they could get a result, a social result. And we went around and talked to a lot of people and all over the world. And we had a lot of people that came to us and said, I would put my money into reducing child mortality in Africa. But I hesitate to do it, or I don't do it. Because blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay? So I'm trying to erase the because.
I'm trying to blah, blah, blah. Right.
No, because if you erase the because, then there's no blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So you either want it or you don't want it. Right?
Yes.
So if this is something that you truly want, I will try through the different financial mechanisms to erase the because. Okay?
Right.
So anything that society truly wants is financial.
But the most important thing is for the indigenous people to want it, as opposed to an outsider wanting it for the indigenous people.
Correct. But then we're going to a different topic, which is not the financial part, but then the achievable part, which is, I think it's very difficult to achieve something that people really don't want. You see, I'm talking about two different populations.
Or they want to do it themselves at another time.
Correct.
Not now, not today. I want to do it tomorrow.
Correct. Correct. Well, I mean, actually, that's a very important topic. I'll show you an example, but that's not in the financial part. That's in the achievable part, and also financing has several dimensions, right? But it is an important topic that what we're doing is not paternalistic at all. Okay, it's like we avoid the way we frame this, or we come about making things financial and achievable, is not that we think they should be financial or we think we know how to achieve them.
Right.
We're trying to increase the pool of capital and increase the pool of human resources available to achieve a goal. Not that a goal that we defined, but the society defined it by itself.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And you're right, and I mentioned this because for me the topic of paternalism is I have to avoid that.
You have a passion about that or something?
Yes, because we saw it. I've worked with a lot of social entrepreneurs, and this is just a current topic for us, a very important topic for us, which is the topic of sanitation. Like worldwide, almost 40% of the world population doesn't have a toilet.
Yes.
And that's not very basic.